So I want to think about some of the things you might be dealing with. Now, some of it's obvious. You look at EduTech and see the number of talks that are here about the disruption of AI, the positives or the negatives, but it's a change. You're dealing with teacher shortages. You're dealing with demands from education directorates and departments to bring in perhaps necessary change, but that has an impact. We see so many talks here about wellbeing, both for students and for staff and principals. And if you look at things like some of the reports, things like principal wellbeing and overwork and people leaving the profession, we just see they've got a whole lot of external factors you're dealing with. But beyond that, if you look within the school, the principals and the senior leaders I've talked to also talk about the internal disruptions, that how much time they spend dealing with poor moods, people who are upset with change, people who are in conflict or being upset by the disruptions, by asking people to do work but it doesn't turn up on time or it's not what they're expected, and not quite knowing how to deal with that. There's this world of how people relate that is not as people would want. And a lot of principals tell me that this leaves them feeling like overwhelmed, overworked, and in some cases at risk of burnout. In the best case, where you've got a really well-functioning team, you're still ambitious to have something else, to have something different, to create a new future. And I wonder what it would be like, just imagining that you have a smooth functioning team, a team that when there is disruption can handle that without significant upset. We can't change the fact there's going to be disruption from the outside, but there's a lot we can do about how it impacts us. Staff members who are dealing with, rather than being in resentment, are in acceptance, who are ambitious to change, not resisting change, who are working in a collegiate and collaborative way. And this can leave you feeling far more fulfilled and confident in where you're taking your school or your team into the future. And I want to offer you one point to take away today, one bridge. And it sounds simple, and this is that leadership happens in conversation. Now, we never escape from conversation, but conversations on one hand can be wasteful. Often these are the conversations we're not having. Anyone do that, where you actually avoid certain conversations? Like, we know we should have them, but we don't. And sometimes we find ourselves not as competent as we'd like to be in the conversations we do have. So we end up sometimes creating what we might call messes. But on the other hand, we've got what I'm calling powerful conversations. And these are conversations that open up possibilities, that create connection, that create relationship, and allow you to produce the results that you really know in your heart of hearts you want to be producing, but maybe aren't yet getting to.